I hope that the microphone's plugged in. Hey, everybody. Let's work out the sound. Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to House Connell. Welcome to BN Bobina's Book Nook. Hey, guys. My name is Regina Connell, so I'm not going to do a whole lot on introductions and stuff like that because I don't want to make y'all wait. So we're going to jump right in. And sorry about that. I'm very fidgety. Those of you who consistently watch my content, you know this about me, and please forgive me. My name is Regina Connell. Welcome to BB and Bobina's Book Nook. We are deep in the throes of the Killing series, the series by the great authors Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. So right now, we're working on Friday's release of Killing Jesus, A History. And I always like to take the covers off. I'm rough on books. I think I say it every time I get on here. I'm super rough on books. I will say it again. I have a unique advantage to this book as I have read it many, many times. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to actually have this platform. So thank you, YouTube, for providing a channel for just regular, everyday people to, get great books out. Even people who want to write their own stuff, that's cool too. I choose to bring back the classics. I think we can incorporate our own stories into this. If I were to write my own book, it would involve other family members, and I don't choose to do that right now. So I will honor my father's story, though. He did begin writing about himself. So I feel like eventually, his legacy will be in writing. It already is. All right. So without further ado, let's continue on with Killing Jesus. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'll figure this camera thing out one day. So Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard, Killing Jesus, A History. And I'll remind everyone that even though these authors are both Roman Catholic, they do not refer to Jesus as the Messiah. They simply refer to him as Jesus of Nazareth, which is I feel like all he ever wanted us to do. All right, so we are in book 3. So we made it through 2 books. So we just wrapped up our Job journey. For those of you that are, I don't know, I know that it's on a scheduled release. But those of you that are subscribed to me, I haven't figured out how it all works, but it's all free. So let's just keep going. I do set the age to 18 and above simply for the fact that I think it's a parent's choice whether they view certain things. And I know that we can't always be on top of our children all the time. I know that there are certain features where you can set the age and all that stuff. So I don't know. I just kind of try to worry about my own home. Without further ado, let's continue on. We are in book 3 of Killing Jesus, A History. If you are the Son of God, take yourself off this cross. And for those of you that know your Bible, you know what that's in reference to. All right, guys, let's get started. All right. Chapter 12. Outside Jerusalem, Sunday, April 2, AD 30, afternoon. The dusty dirt road from Galilee is once again clogged with Passover pilgrims eager to enter the walls of Jerusalem and put their journey behind them. The day is sunny, as it is so often this time of year. The travelers push past date palm plantations and the former winter places of Herod the Great in the lush oasis of Jericho. Small farming villages soon follow, where fruit orchards, vineyards, and olive trees grow alongside irrigated fields of vegetables. Many of the travelers stop here for their ritual mikvah, purifying themselves for the final 3 miles of the journey. So there was a lot of ritual involved, and especially, I'll say it again for those of you that are familiar with the Bible. And I want to do a huge shout out real quick while I'm reading this. So recently, I just saw an Amazon Prime documentary by Dr. Hold on. Dr. Del Tackett. It was released in 2022, and it was probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. And it answers everything. So I don't know why more people aren't. I don't know why it's not. I don't know how out there it is, but if you have time, I would definitely make time to watch this documentary in conjunction with what we're doing in reading the Bible in a year, reading the New Testament in 93 days. We're almost at the end of our Job journey. The next series I'll be doing is the Lot series. Huge shout out to Angel Studios. Keep doing the thing. They started right here on the YouTube channel, as so many other content creators that I'm subscribed to that I fully support. We fully support. All right, let's continue on. So once again, the name of that documentary is Genesis History by Dr. Del Tackett. All right, let's continue on. The purification process is vital to properly celebrating Passover. It creates a physical and emotional state of mind that prepares a worshiper to embrace God's holiness. Thus, the need to arrive in Jerusalem almost a week before the holy day. Men will immerse in the mikvah, then cease having sex with their wives until after Passover, believing the act of ejaculation makes the body impure. Similarly, menstruating women will be unable to immerse in the mikvah and will also be forbidden from entering the temple grounds. Wow. Touching a reptile also makes a body impure, and anyone coming in contact with a dead body or even having their shadow touch a dead body is immediately rendered impure and unable to celebrate Passover. This, of course, also applies to anyone who kills a person. Now, there is an asterisk reference point next to the word impure, so we're going to jump down, and they have a Bible reference, Leviticus 22, verses 4 through 7. I'm not going to read that for you because I've read it before, and we'll be reading it again right here on this channel. We've decided on a new name for the channel. I wanted something that encompassed everything, and it was really getting confusing going back between, BBN, BBV, Queen Regina's, whatever. So we have decided to name it the Blodcast. Blodcast, one word. And I mean, it truly encompasses everything. I never imagined that I would actually be doing it on video. I had only hoped to maybe make a living doing audiobooks or something like that, but it has evolved into this, and so we're just going with it. So now we've decided Vlogcast. So my husband's working on the branding art right now, and I'm super stoked about it. If there is anyone with the name Vlogcast already, let me know, and we will pivot. We have no problem doing that. All right, guys, let's continue on this great novel and biography. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. I think it might be something to that brain fire thing. I don't know. Let's keep going. So even before the pilgrims see Jerusalem, they are mentally preparing for the week to come. They think of the need for a mikvah, and they refrain from any intimate contact that might stir physical longings. Anticipating the smell of roast lamb that will hang over Jerusalem as the Passover feasts are being cooked in ovens. The pilgrims count their money, worrying about how they will pay for the feast and the inevitable taxes they will incur in the city. Despite their sore feet and aching legs from walking mile after rugged mile through the wilderness, the travelers feel themselves transformed by the magnetic pull of Jerusalem. Their thoughts are no longer set on their farms back home and the barley crop that must be harvested immediately upon their return, but on holiness and purity. Soon they will ascend the hill known as the Mount of Olives and look down upon the heart-stopping sight of Jerusalem in all its glory. The temple will gleam white and gold, and the mighty walls of the Temple Mount will astound them, as always. The sheer magnificence of the temple will remind them that they have arrived at the center of Jewish life. It has been nearly 50 years since the temple was refurbished and expanded, and the first modern Passover celebrated within its courts. But even for those old enough to have been there that day, this Passover promises to be the most memorable in history. And today's arrival in Jerusalem will be unlike any before or to come. We are going up to Jerusalem. Jesus tells his disciples as they prepare to depart for the Passover. The Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will turn him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day, he will be raised to life. But if those words disturb the disciples, they don't show it, for theirs has been a journey of many months rather than the mere days of most pilgrims. After the Feast of Tabernacles 6 months ago, Jesus and the disciples did not return to Galilee. Instead, they began a roundabout trip. First stop, the village of Ephraim, only 15 miles north of Jerusalem. From there, they traveled as a group due north and away from Jerusalem to the border of Samaria and Galilee. And then, when it was time for Passover, they turned in the opposite direction and marched due south along the Jordan River, joining the long caravans of pilgrims en route to the holy city. One moment, please. All right, guys. Oh, what happened to my sound? Testing. Okay, this is annoying. Testing. Okay, that's better. Sorry, guys, about that. Okay, Officer Tatum. Now U-turn signs are homophobic. It will never end. No, I agree with you, Officer Tatum. I don't think it will ever end. Keep doing what you're doing. All right, guys. So that's a huge shout out to the Tatum Plus organization. You guys make sure he's right here on the YouTube channel. He's even got his own network, you guys. TPN, Tatum Plus Network. He's got his own application, his own store. His wife has, I mean, it's amazing. They have everything, and we should support them. Thank you for everything that you're doing. How may we serve? House Connell stands with you, and we would always be honored to serve in your court, sir. And I do have some merch. I need to get better at promoting the merch. I can kind of set it up behind me, I guess. All right, guys, let's continue on. So this is really informative, and it really truly, it backs up biblically. And I'll say the name of the documentary again is Genesis History by Dr. Del Tackett. You guys have to see this documentary. It's truly amazing. All right, let's continue on. Close out. Officer Tatum. All right. I got to get a new boom arm. I move around way too much. I wonder if the baby birds have flown out yet. See how easily and then I broke Chief, so I don't even have Chief to keep me focused up anymore. So, all right, let's keep going before Rosie gets herself out of bed and decides I need this and I need that. Let's continue on. The disciples now jockey for position during the walk to Jerusalem. James and John ask the Nazarene if they can be his principal assistants in the new regime, requesting that one of us sit on your right and the other on your left in your glory. End quote. Upon hearing this, the other 10 are furious. They have followed Jesus. They have followed Jesus as a collective group for more than 2 years, giving up their jobs and wives and whatever semblance of a normal life they might have once had. All the disciples hope. This is driving me nuts. I hope that sounds right. All the disciples hope. Testing. Okay, we'll just go with it. Sorry, guys. All the disciples hope they will reap the glory that will come after the new Messiah overthrows the Romans. Peter is so sure that Jesus is going to use military might that he is making plans to purchase a sword. I don't think Jesus would like that too much, but let's see what happens. But Jesus has no plans to wage war and no plans to form a new government. Rather than upbraid James and John, he calmly deflects their request. He then calls the disciples together, imploring them to focus on serving others rather than fighting for position. Quote, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many," he tells them. Once again, Jesus is predicting his death. And yet the disciples are so focused on the glorious moment when Jesus will reveal that he is the Christ that they ignore the fact that he is telling them he will soon die. There will be no overthrow of the Romans. There will be no new government. But the disciples' willful ignorance is understandable. Jesus often speaks in parables, and the mania surrounding the Nazarene is now phenomenal. The adoration being bestowed upon Jesus makes any talk of death incomprehensible. The thick crowds of pilgrims treat Jesus like royalty, hanging on his every word and greeting him with enthusiastic awe. In the village of Jericho, two blind men call out to Jesus, referring to him as Lord, Son of David, a designation that could be applied only to the Christ. The disciples are encouraged when Jesus does nothing to rebuke the blind men. Jerusalem is just a 40-minute walk from the village of Bethany, where they stop for the night. They stay at the home of Lazarus and his sisters, Mary and Martha, rather than risk traveling after sundown and on the start of the Sabbath. Jerusalem. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. This will be their base throughout Passover week, and Jesus and the disciples plan to return here most nights for the promise of a hot meal and easy rest. The Sabbath is the holiest day of the week. The Jews call it Shabbat, but the Romans name it for the planet Saturn. Okay, guys, here you go. And I think, they already explained the renaming of Saturnalia to Christmas in honor of Christ Jesus. They converted and what was once a many God worshiping orgiastic holiday. They converted to Christianity and renamed it Christmas in honor of Christ, not just his birth, not just his death, but also his resurrection. So all three, his birth, his death, and his resurrection. So there's a lot of history, and it takes time to learn all this stuff. You know, nobody's an instant expert. I don't care what they say. All right, let's keep going, guys. This is interesting. All right. So they're staying with Lazarus and his two sisters, Mary and Martha. And I'm so excited about read the New Testament in 93 days again. Sorry about that. I'm going to wet my whistle and we'll get this done. The next morning, Jesus selects 2 disciples and gives them a most special task. Go to the village ahead of you, he orders them, and at once you will find a donkey tied there with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, tell him that the Lord needs them, and he will send them right away. Then Jesus and the other 10 disciples set out, knowing that they will return to Lazarus's home this evening. They travel light, with no need for the satchel of supplies for the walking. Then Jesus and the other 10 disciples set out, knowing that they will return to Lazarus's home this evening. They travel light, with no need for the satchel of supplies or the walking sticks most pilgrims carry. Crowds of pilgrims press in around Jesus as he walks. Their voices carry the familiar drawl of their religions. The pilgrims are excited that their journey is almost over, and many are rejoicing that the famous Jesus of Nazareth is in their presence. Just on the other side of Bethpage, the 2 disciples stand waiting. One holds the bridle of a donkey that has never been ridden. The animal is bareback. A disciple removes his square cloak and lays it across the animal's back as an improvised saddle. The other disciples remove their cloaks and lay them on the ground in an act of submission, forming a carpet on which the donkey can walk. Okay, so there is an asterisk reference point next to the word Saturn. When we read up here, the Jewish call it Shabbat, but the Romans name it for the planet Saturn. So down here at the asterisk reference point, the day of the week take their names from the Roman fixation on the heavens in order. They are named for the sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Following this example, many of the pilgrims remove their own cloaks and lay them on the ground. Others gather palm fronds or snap branches off olive and cypress trees and wave them with delight. This is the sign everyone has been waiting for. This is the fulfillment of Zechariah's prophecy. Blessed is the King, shouts a disciple. The people join in, exalting Jesus and carrying out to him. The people join in, exalting Jesus and crying out to him. Hosanna! They chant, Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest. Yeah. Jesus rides forth on the donkey, and the people bow down. O Lord, save us, they implore, thankful that the Christ has finally come to rescue them. O Lord, grant us success. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. The words of thanksgiving are from Psalm 118, a psalm sung at Passover. This is the moment for which these simple peasants have waited so long. Of all the thousands of pilgrims who set out from Galilee, these are the lucky few who can tell their children and their children's children that they witnessed the grand moment when Jesus the Christ rode triumphantly into Jerusalem. But not everyone bows down. A group of Pharisees has been waiting for Jesus and now look on with disgust. They call out to him, giving the Nazarene one last chance to avoid a charge of blasphemy. Teacher, they yell, rebuke your disciples. But Jesus refuses. I tell you, he informs the Pharisees, if they keep quiet, even the stones will cry out. Others who have heard that Jesus is near have run out from Jerusalem, spreading palm branches across the path of the Nazarene. This is a traditional sign of triumph and glory. The donkey stops atop the Mount of Olives. Jesus takes it all in. Tents cover the hillside. This is where the poor Galileans camped during Passover. Jerusalem calls out to Jesus from just across the small Kidron Valley, and the temple gleams in the midday sun. Sounds beautiful. Suddenly, throngs of pilgrims line the path winding down into the valley. The mud and limestone trail is remarkably steep, and Jesus will have to use great caution to guide the donkey downhill without getting thrown. This is his day. Jesus' whole life has pointed to this moment when he will ride forth to stake his claim to the title King of the Jews. Suddenly, Jesus begins to weep. Perhaps it's the thought of spending a last week with his good friends Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. Maybe he foresees the eventual destruction of this great city. Or perhaps he looks on Jerusalem knowing that his own pageantry will be short lived, for the Nazarene has powerful enemies within the city walls. For the past 3 years, Jesus has been adored, but he has also been subject to attack and suspicion. Even his disciples, despite their deep belief in Jesus and his teachings, sometimes care more about jockeying for power than about understanding his true nature and his message for the world. He has been very specific with the disciples that he is more than just an earthly Christ. They don't understand. He has told them again and again that he is a divine being, the Son of God. They cannot comprehend that concept. Jesus has made it clear that he is the Christ, but that his kingdom is not of this world. They don't understand what he's talking about. 3 times Jesus has told his disciples that he will die this week, but his followers refuse even to contemplate that. Most frustrating of all is the fear that his disciples cannot understand the true message of Jesus. These men know him better than any other. They have walked countless miles at his side, listened to his teaching for hours on end, and sat with him in quiet reverence to pray. Yet the disciples still do not understand who he truly claims to be. In this moment of triumph, Jesus is experiencing agony. He has long strategized about the words he will say at Passover and the effect they will have on his followers, both old and new. He knows that his claims of being a king will lead to his crucifixion. He will be sacrificed, just as surely as those countless Passover lambs. It is just a matter of when. The Nazarene stares down at the path coursing through the olive trees. In the distance, he sees the garden at Gethsemane, and then the flat depression of the narrow Kidron Valley. Looking across the valley, he sees this same well-trod path rising up to Jerusalem's city walls. The city gates are clearly visible, as are the Roman soldiers who man the entrances. Jesus sees the people rushing out to worship him, eagerly ripping palm branches off nearby trees and waving them. The green flutter of respect impresses Jesus. For it is a reminder that many believe he is the anointed one, Moses and David in the flesh, come to save them and lead them out of bondage. But Jesus knows that while Moses and David are remembered for their great achievements, they were also cast out by society. Jesus is not a prince like Moses or a warrior like David. He is an intellectual. He deals in logic. The book of Deuteronomy predicted the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him. But that prophecy is dangerous. To claim he is the Son of God would make Jesus one of three things: a lunatic, or a liar, or a divinity who fulfills Scripture. Few in the crowd believe that Jesus is deranged or a charlatan. But will they make that incredible leap to believe that Jesus is God in the flesh? Time to go. As the hosannas rain down on all sides, and the Pharisees look on from a place nearby with their usual veiled contempt, Jesus coaxes the donkey forward. Step by careful step, the two descend the Mount of Olives, cross the Kidron Valley, and travel through a tunnel of worshipers, with Jesus riding majestically up the hill and into the great and golden city of Jerusalem. All right, guys, we made it through chapter 12. That was Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. This releases out on Fridays. Don't forget, on Saturday, we release Killing Kennedy, The End of Camelot. Then on Sundays, Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. You guys, I thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget our new schedule starting June 25th. We'll be doing lives starting 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the first thing we're going to be doing is RNT 93, which will be that will start on the 25th. And I think, let me look at my calendar actually. Here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at June. It's right here in the beginning. So, yes, June 25th is a Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, we'll be doing Read the New Testament in 93 days. Then on that Thursday, the live will probably be a secular book of some sort. I don't know yet, but it all ties back into Jesus anyway and God. So I don't know. So June 25th, Tuesday, will definitely every Tuesday will be Read the New Testament in 93 days. No, wait, we have to do it every day. I'm sorry. So starting June 25th, starting June 25th, right? We're going to be doing Read the New Testament in 93 days. I will be doing a live every Tuesday. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I'll figure it out. But if we're going to do it in 93 days, I guess I have to do lives every day, don't I? So I guess I didn't think that one all the way through. But no worries, because I don't mind doing that, right? Because with the readings and stuff, it should only take about an hour to do. And if you're reading on your own, which please, everyone, I have the word, all the text in front of you if you're able to. If you're not able to, let me know and we'll figure out how to get it for you. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. We'll talk about the schedule later. I'm getting tired, I guess. And thank you for joining me. If you like this, please don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. After you're done doing that, go over to Hood News Radio. That's Hood News with a Z. And view that content, his Before the Internet series, and also the Diddy on Diddy, and many other things that he reports on. He's a great comedian. I love him. Mo Ryland, Hood News Radio. Go check him out. And then after that, go on over to the Officer Tatum Show, tatumplus.com, and then check out Candace Owens. Let's give her some strong support. All right, guys, thank you for joining me again. We'll see you next time.